Welcome to another episode of Stronger. I'm so excited to introduce to you my good friend, Peter Hurley. Peter has got a really interesting background. I mean, Peter was a model, professional sailor, and he became the owner, the CEO of the Headshot Crew. So he runs monthly challenges that caters to photographers. So he teaches photographers how to just be better at what they do. This is not about photography. This is about helping you build the confidence that you need to just be able to live life the way that you want to live it. He calls himself, I thought this was interesting, a facial convenience strategist, right? He explained that the camera strips away a person's confidence and his job is to trick them or build them back up. Confidence is such a huge part of everyday life, whether you're working in a job, whether you're a professional athlete, whatever it might be. We all want to feel confident. He says that most people have a negative relationship with their appearance. So his job is to come in and to help pick that up. So their headshot, a lot of times, this is part of our business card, right? We want to have a good appearance. We want to make a good first impression of people. So I think Peter's job is very important. And he also outlined 3 elements for an attractive shot: confidence, approachability, and genuine laughter. And I think this is a very valuable episode. I think everyone, no matter what their profession is or what they're doing in life, I think you need to watch this one. This is one of those episodes I'd love to be able to show to kids in high school because I just think there's so many great takeaways here. He's a parent, he's a husband, he's a great person. I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. Let's go. All right, guys, first off, I have to thank my sponsors, one of them right now being Mitopure. Thank you guys for just being a loyal sponsor of ours. Probably, I think it was our first one. Was that our first sponsor? Yeah, I think it was. I'm saying it was. So they have a few different products. They have Mitopure, which is a urolithin A product, which is why I am in my 60s and I look like I'm in my early 40s. So I've been taking this product for a while. My skin, my lines, my energy level, my mitochondrial function is fantastic. And this is one of those supplements. I like supplements, but you got to understand, I really value the importance of nutrition and sleep. Mitopure, their urolithin A supplement, I take 4 capsules a day. That's 1,000 milligrams. I take it religiously and I really can't travel without it now because I have seen benefits come from this with probably about 3 to 6 months. I just started feeling like my skin was glowing a little bit more. I was feeling a bit younger. I was. Okay, I'm not 60, I'm 48. Cat's out of the bag now. They also have these gummies that are delicious. And they also have a powder, which is fantastic as well if you're into powder. So that's it, guys. Mitopure, again, thank you again. Timeline, thank you. And Timeline is offering 20% off your first order of Mitopure. Go to timeline.com/stronger. That's TIMELINE.com/stronger. I can't believe I actually had to read how to spell Timeline. I did, though. Thanks, guys. This is like getting back to it right now with you, man. I'm happy to have you in here. This is like exciting for me.
I love it.
You helped out my daughter. You helped me out with photo shoots and stuff. Because I'm always, in my business, I always have to keep current pictures, even though I may not always stay on that. It's something I probably should do more. But you make it fun. So I think when you show up into your environment, to your studio, which is how far is it from here? It's close.
It's 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
I just ran down.
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta
easy.
get over here.
But I mean, your career. So this is what I'm fascinated about with you. Yeah. It's how far apart are we in age?
I just turned 55.
Okay, so we're not that far off. But like, we really have we've been New Yorkers. Like we've been in New York for a while. I mean, you've been working in the city how many years now?
I moved in 96.
I moved in 99.
Yeah.
So think about, but like I look at you and I see someone who's, you were a successful model at one point. You got mentored by one of the best photographers, I think, around. I mean, when you think of New York City photography and you think of he's a global name, right?
He's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce Weber.
Yeah.
And he's the one who kind of had the eye and looked at you and said, "Hey kid, don't do this and do this," right?
I don't know why he said it, but I'm glad he did. Yeah,
but that's what's fascinating about all this. And this is what, I'm trying to explain people every single day. You start your career in one area and it just makes a turn. And you just don't always know. Like I'm sure when you were 15, you weren't like, I want to be a photographer. Now you're one of the more successful lenses out there. I mean, you're
when I always envied people that knew what they wanted to do. Like all through high school and even college, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Right.
And people that knew what they were going to do, I envy them. But now I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't know what I was going to do.
Oh my God.
I would have never turned out I remember failing. I went to Boston University and I basically failed out one semester. I had like a 1.5 or something like that. They're like, nice. You can't come back unless you go to, standard stuff. It was terrible.
Good job, by the way.
Yeah. But they said, you can't come back unless you go to night school. And I remember in night school, I could have studied like anything. There was like some sort of microbiology, like test lab thing and my dad said to me, he goes, yeah, you failed. You got to go to night school and you got to go be that for the rest of your life. And that was the moment I was like, I don't want to be that for the rest of my life. So the next semester in night school and everything, I got like a 3.43. I'll never forget. And they're like, okay, you can get back on track now. And then I graduated. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a human physiology major, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
I kind of know a little bit, not much, but I envy you. I love your terminology and the way you speak about the body and everything. It's amazing. And for me, it brings back stuff. I was like, oh yeah, he's talking about that. But I, graduated and I really had no clue what I was going to do.
So you move into the city and you're like, I want to model? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, I was training for the Olympics and I was on the U.S.
Which I was going to get to, by the way, but go right ahead now. Let's go.
Well, they wanted real sailors in a polo campaign. So they called me and a designer, I was sponsored by DKNY. A designer had met me and was like, we need to help you get sponsorship. So her name's Kaggy Bradford and she took me under her wing and she got me sponsored by DKNY. And then she calls me, she goes, Polo's looking for real sailors to be in this ad campaign. You got to come into New York. And I'm a Jersey boy. So I'm down at the Jersey Shore, sailing away. And I came up into the city and I went over to Ralph Lauren and I met a designer there. And he's like, yeah, you might work. Go over here. And I went to the ad agency and I met the creative director there. And he took a Polaroid of me. I'd never done anything. And then that was it. And I left. And then a couple of weeks later, they're like, hey, you're going to go to Miami to shoot with Bruce Weber for Polo. And I didn't know who Bruce was. No. So I was in Savannah training for the Olympics because the games were in Atlanta and we were sailing out of Savannah. And they were like, I forget what it was. They were going to pay me like $500 to do it. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm training for the Olympics. I can't leave. And I remember I think I was driving to Savannah with my boat on top of this van when I got the call and I said no. And I can't, I look back at that moment and I'm like, if they actually hadn't called back, my life would be completely different, right? I don't know what I would have done because it changed so much. It was such a dramatic change getting that thing. So I always look at that. I have kids. I have twins that are 22 now and they're at that age where one's graduating in May. And the other one didn't go to school, and she's like, I threw her. She's into fashion, so I threw her. I got her kind of pointed in the right direction with some friends and stuff. And she calls me 2 days ago, and I was in Florida, and she's like, Dad, I got invited to my first fashion show, and I was like, great. When is it? When are you going? She goes, I'm not going. It's in Paris. I was like, when is it? She goes, it's 2 days from now, but it's in Paris. I can't go. And I was like. I was thinking back to my moment. I was like, what do you mean you can't go?
What was the reason?
I was like, she's like,
give a reason
she can't, she just, mom wouldn't let her go. She didn't have the money to go. I just was like, look, I got points and
how old is she?
Your uncle has an apartment in Paris.
How old is she?
She's 22. So I was like, you're going. And she was just psyched. So I threw her. She got on a plane in 5 hours. She jumped on the plane and now she's over there.
She's in Paris now.
She's going to every fashion show. She's doing a photo. She's crazy. It's
what an experience.
But those are the things that a lot of people don't jump on. If you don't jump on that, and she didn't know, point A to point B. But I was like, there's no, in my mind, there was no choice but to send her. Get her over there.
I can't tell you how many trips I've had to go on for work where I've been like, man, I'm leaving my kids, I'm leaving my wife, I'm leaving my work to go do this. Is it, you start wondering, is it worth your time? I have never regretted once. after coming back.
Yeah.
I've never once turned around and said, well, that was a waste of time. Like there's always a valuable experience or something or a story to take from it that I think you carry for the rest of your life. And I think that's the beauty about travel. And you, I mean, between sailing and prepping for the Olympics, you said in Atlanta, did you ever qualify?
I didn't qualify. In Atlanta, we had our Olympic trials. Unfortunately, in sailing, only one person goes.
Yeah, no, it's very competitive.
And in '96, I finished 8th. So at the trials, I had a bad last race, and I wouldn't have won any. I wasn't ready, but I decided to go back for 2000. It's strange. They would give 5 spots to people and say you're on the U.S. sailing team, but you're only the first guys on the Olympic team. So in the Olympic trials in 2000, I basically came to New York and started doing this whole model, actor, bartender dude thing. And I was after how many years? I was like, it was 96 to 99. I was like, in 99, I was like, I actually met this another mentor of mine, Bob Proctor. He's like, why aren't you training for the Olympics? What are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. He's like, well, why don't you do it? I was like, and now I'm thinking, it's a year away. I haven't sailed in 3 years. Like, how could I do that? He's like, you gotta go do it. And I was at a conference, and Milt Campbell was on stage with him, and Milt won the decathlon in 1956. And he stands up, if you do it, I'll coach you.
Really?
And I was like, okay. So
and you knew who he was when he stood up?
I know, yeah. Because he was doing stuff with Bob back then, and Bob would talk about him all the time. And then they'd show video of him winning the decathlon. And so I would go to his house and sit with him, and he started coaching me. And I made the U.S. team that year in 2000.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, it was cool.
And that's been I'm blown away by the amount of strength that takes and endurance. It's phenomenal. Even that little, when I was at your studio recently, you have that little training device where you have to lock yourself in and hold your body out over, which not the water, but you'd be like, what's that
you're
device?
Over the water.
Yeah,
it's a hiking bench. It's called a hiking bench.
It's like a hiking bench.
It's painful. It's like a torture chamber.
Yeah, it's like the amount of core strength, that you have to have.
Yeah. But I remember trying to convey to you what it was that the sailor's physique is like and what you need to be like. And I think you have to see it to
No.
Now you get it.
Now I totally get it. And listen, even with your body comp, when you were coming to me initially and you're like, I shouldn't be this weight, I should be this weight. I get it.
Yeah.
I completely, because when you're carrying around a couple extra pounds, it weighs on you. But again, I wanted you to understand the importance of muscle and strength. And we can always drop body fat, and we can always, drop a couple lbs. I think you lost like 7 pounds recently. You were telling me, right?
Yeah, but I had gotten up there. You changed my body because my arms,
your
my
arms,
shirts wouldn't fit anymore. My wife was like, "What's going on?" I actually have biceps now because of Don. It's unbelievable.
So New York City, 1996. You get hooked up with Bruce Weber. You're behind the camera, but you're also in front of the camera. So you're kind of living different lives here. You've got this sailing career going on, but now you're starting to get behind the camera, which ends up being your career. And looking at how that's even spun off, and we'll get to it, but because there's a whole topic here on self-confidence that we have to talk about, how you prep people for the camera. But you're now behind the camera and be the one being taken the picture of.
Yeah, I actually was. I did not pick up the camera until 2000. So when I left New York and most of the sailing stuff was going on in San Francisco. So I rented a car. I shipped my boat to San Francisco in an 18-wheeler or something. And then I rented a car out there, threw it on the top, and I was training in San Francisco Bay for I'd changed my life, and I was over there, and that was it. And I was taking my first pictures there. I got a modeling agency there and did a little bit, but I was just sailing and doing a little bit of pictures. That was the start of it.
So the modeling piece, so you probably spent 5, 6, 7 years kind of trying to do some jobs and making a couple extra bucks on the side, and which is honestly, I think it's a great experience. Like I did a bunch of fitness stuff when I was younger, but I couldn't believe. I was blown away by how many people there are in that business. Like you would go to a casting and there'd be hundreds sitting there, one person better looking and more ripped than the next. If you do not have a stomach for it, don't do it. It's like that was trying to make a couple extra bucks on the side, going to Sotheby's where they're body painting you and you're serving hors d'oeuvres at night. Like
you were doing that stuff?
Oh yeah, man. I was like half naked. I was pretty much naked in a pair of bikini.
I remember doing that.
You remember when they have to body paint you from top?
I did a couple of those.
Remember like how long did it take you to wash that shit off?
Oh,
they're literally with baby wipes and you're in a 3-hour shower. What?
Well, I never got body.
I got body. I was basically naked. I was in a pair of briefs. That was it.
Because Mike was booking you.
Well, Mike was interesting guy.
We figured this out. Did we overlap?
I think so because I do remember some of your pictures.
Wait, you're 48.
I'm 47
years younger,
48.
so you would have been 20.
Yeah, so I started at 20. I started in the city at 21. So I started doing some print work in 99. 1999 was when I started, and I probably did it until about 2004. So 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just love the fact. Like, I think that when we met, I was like excited that Evie pumped you up. So I was like excited for you to be in my studio and everything, and for us to figure out that we had the same agent back then, and we're laughing about the guy. And I was just like, funny. Oh yeah, it was just it made the connection with you really special for me. I was like, it's so cool that we had
but that's like such a special time in the city. I think like when you're getting started and you know what I'm talking about, you're building your way up and you're on foot all day.
Running around.
It's a castings, a stupid comp book. You got a little bag you're carrying it around with. You go in and you land, less than 5%, or at least I did. Landed 5% of the jobs if I was lucky. Like it's just, you would pick something up and out of nowhere, it's the most bizarre thing. Like this is not like, you're not on the cover of GQ with this stuff. Like out of nowhere, I remember one time, I think it was like Exxon, where I got hired for their annual report. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Cool. And they're like, you have to go down to this studio and they're going to tattoo you. And I'm like, permanent? Like, not permanent. It's temporary. So they go down and they put a tattoo on my arm, on my bicep. And it said like power or something like that. And you don't even see my face. You can see my chin. And I'm sitting there flexing. And it's like when you're open and you're thinking about, you're like, holy shit, how many times have you opened an annual report or you open some type of a guide or a manual, and out of nowhere there's like these fluffy pictures in there that you're like, what's the point? And it was telling their story. So when you open the annual report and you got to a page, it was me flexing my bicep. But I think I got paid $1,200 to go in and have it done. And I'm like, give it to me. At that time, you're like, give me whatever. But that was exciting about what was being in the city. So you did that, you were sailing, you go work for not work for Weber. Weber takes you under his wing. And that really kind of is what puts you on this trajectory to where you are now, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, the hard part about it was that, I had gotten the Polo job and all the pictures came out. So I went over to Ralph Lauren and they just gave me all these pictures. I still have them. They're like amazing from the shoot. They just printed them up huge and they just were like, we're not doing anything with these. Take them. And they gave them all to me. So I run over to my agency and I got this envelope. I still have it. It's like this big, this huge envelope. And I run into the agency and I hadn't really started with them. They had I think Bruce recommended that I go there because I didn't have an agent.
Sure.
So I run in and I meet this woman and I was like, look, I got all this stuff. And she looks at me and she goes, you can't do print. I'm sorry. I'm like, what? I'm like, the ad just came out and it was global of me in a 2-page spread. Like it was right. I remember the first one I saw was George Magazine and it was, and you opened it up and it was me. And I was like, why is she telling me I can't do print? I'm like, I'm in print. Yeah. I'm like, why can't I do print? What are you talking about? So the hits that you took in that industry, like you said, you go in this room and you're looking around at these guys and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, this is not.
I got to a point where it actually got great for me. It became great for my head because I just walked in and I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just walked in and I was like, I'd get a comp card, sign out the sheet, take my Polaroids, profile head on, walk out. Yeah. And I just didn't, I was like, whatever. If I heard from if I didn't, I didn't. I think that's what I test a lot of my humility to, is just because you got to take a lot of kicks when you're doing that.
Yeah. I think that the confidence takes a hit. I think it also grows confidence. I think it helped me. I don't think I was that confident of an individual. And it showed in the picture. Like I went to modeling school or anything, and I get in front of Bruce Weber's camera and he's he's just a genius with, you know, disarming you, making you feel comfortable being like
but you're
in
like
the
that.
moment.
But you have that.
Well, I learned it from, I learned that I had to do it from him because I was with him.
That's one of
But
the best
then I
qualities.
was with other photographers where they were just not up to par with anything. And I would just look like a fish out of water in front of the camera. So I learned through modeling as it went on that when the photographer didn't know what the heck they were doing, I was like, all right, I actually have to do something here. And as the years went on and I got the bookings and stuff, that started to come into play. But at the beginning, it was horrible. And it wasn't something that, it was like, you know, you had to understand that failure, like this is, I'm getting paid. I better bring something to the table if this photographer doesn't know what they're doing. Because I started to work with some of the best ones, and I was like, it was such a big difference. So when I picked up a camera, I was like, I'm self-taught. It was all trial and error. Bruce gave me a photography book. He's like, here, Peter, take this book. And I was like, and he would like encourage me, but it wasn't like he was going to tell me aperture ISO or shutter speed. And I remember asking, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to shoot stuff like you have an awesome career. Like you do the coolest stuff. And, you know, he's at the top of the game and he's like, yeah, okay, Peter, I get it. But I mean, I was like, it was to be on set with him showed me. People always ask me like, well, because a lot of photographers, a lot of models became photographers, a lot of my friends. And,
because it is helpful to be on both ends, right? Like, don't you admit that? Like, for you to have had the pictures taken of you at one point and now to flip it, do you think that it has to be?
Like the guys that couldn't do it, I'd be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like you're working. I just became the most annoying model on the set because I was self-taught. So the minute that I picked up a camera and decided I was going to be a photographer, I was like, what's that? What is that over there? Why are you doing this? And they'd be like, will you just get in front? Yeah. I remember I was doing this thing for BMW and this photographer was like, just get in front of the camera. Stop that. And I was like, and my agent was like, I remember.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. And then I remember I was so busy with the photography, I let the body go. I wasn't working out as much. So I had gotten a little bit, I wasn't just didn't have the six pack or I wasn't
You had a layer of water. You had a layer of water.
And the client told the agent. And I was like, so I had to hear this and I was like, oh boy. But I had no physique before modeling. They sent me over, like sailing doesn't do it for you. Like I was lean.
No. Yeah, you're lean.
I was lean.
How'd you develop a physique?
We went over they sent me to Barcelona and that was my first modeling was over there. And I was with a bunch of models and we would just go to the gym every day. And they told me, they're like, you gotta like look at these guys and you gotta do that. So I was doing 45 minutes of it just abs, just to get abs every day. And then I got the abs, and now they're under there.
No, you still they don't go anywhere.
When they're built, but you help now. I can get them. They're prevalent at 55, which I'm proud of. You know.
This episode of Stronger is presented by David Protein Bars. First off, the show would not be possible if it wasn't for our sponsors, so we're incredibly grateful. And the irony of this sponsor right now is that I am a fitness guy, and for years, I shied away. Sierra, would you believe I shied away from protein bars? There was just, there was evidence out and there was third-party testing, and the label that you saw on the protein bar was never really true to what was in the bar. Right? So I was very particular about bars. And then I did a deep dive on David Protein Bars, 28 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 150 calories. I don't even need to look at my notes. I think I'm on 20 grams of protein, 150 calories and 0 sugar. All right. So this shows I mean it. So, delicious flavors. And when everyone in your family eats the same thing, which is a rarity. I've got an 18-year-old daughter, soon to be 17-year-old son, and my wife and myself, and we all eat the same protein bars. Something right is happening here. So muscle is the organ of longevity. You better get protein in there. And a lot of us are not consuming enough protein. So I know just using as a snack is something I recommend, never as a meal replacement, but carrying 1 or 2 of these a day, I think is a great solution. And after weeks of being out of stock, they're offering our listeners a special deal. Buy 4 cartons and get the 5th one free when you go to davidprotein.com/stronger. Are we getting free bars from them, or we better get on it? Take advantage of that offer right there. That's pretty impressive. That's davidprotein.com/stronger. Prefer to shop in person? Well, David is now in over 5,000 stores nationwide. Check out their store locator to find a location nearest you. David, you guys are the best. Thank you again. Getting into the headshot crew.
Yeah.
This is what I'm really like. This is out of all that you do, this is what I'm fascinated about because you had went in so many different directions. And I remember, I don't know if the statistic is still accurate, but they said like the average American changes jobs like 8 times, or it's probably more now, right? But you had to wear a lot of different hats to get to where you are now, and it's not just like, well, how many different hats? He was he sailed boats, and he was a model, and he was a photographer. I think of the amount of experiences you went through, and the amount of travel, and the amount of places you've been to, and the situations, and not always running smoothly. Now you're running a community where you have other photographers coming in and you're coaching them and you're allowing them to show off their skills and their artistic juices a bit. Yeah. But getting into the conversation of confidence, I mean, this is something that so many people don't have, right? It's you walk into a meeting when you present something. I just got off the phone with a guy earlier. He contacts me about some pricing at a club that he's running. And when he's presenting it to me, he just doesn't believe it.
Yeah, you sense it. You know.
And you sense it. You can smell it. I don't care who you are. Yeah. This is so important for anyone to hear. It's like, I don't care if you're an athlete. I don't care if you're auditioning for your high school play. I don't care if you're trying to get a promotion, what line of work you're in. Yeah. Confidence is something that's important. At some point, you're going to have to go in front of someone. You're going to be in a situation that's uncomfortable. How are you delivering that message? So this just isn't only about giving people confidence. So when they're getting pictures taken of themselves, they look good and they look confident. There's another thing that you're teaching people to do here in everyday life.
I've had my clients come back and they've been like, you changed my life completely.
How so?
Because, I started this thing. So when I was modeling, we would talk about it. Like, what do we do for the camera? Like, what looks what are you supposed to do? Like, if the photographer doesn't say anything. And I remember it being a big question, having this kind of in-depth conversation with other successful models. Like, what is it that you do? And I was like, I don't even know. So when I picked up a camera, I was like, well, what is it that I want? And I call myself a facial conveyance strategist. So I look in the camera. You're very good in front of the camera. I don't have to really do it with you. You do your thing, and it's really nice. But
I'll take all the coaching I can get, but thank you.
No, you convey the confidence already. But when I look through the viewfinder, I see everything. So I see the apprehension of somebody. I don't want my subjects to look apprehensive at all. Like, that's not the reason they're coming to me. Most people are coming to me for a headshot. I'm known as the headshot guy. And if you're going to put your headshot out there, it's got to represent your personal brand. Mm-hmm. And your personal brand is not apprehensive, hopefully. So cameras really kind of strip away a layer on people. And then, so I have to build them back up, or I have to trick them into building them back up. So I found a way to trick people. And it's basically, I mean, if they're not confident, I can force confidence through expression. So one of the ways, the way that I found, I remember this very early on in my career, I was like, I'm just going to make everybody squint because it looks cooler. And every time I modeled and I looked squinty in cameras, that was cool. But then I would tell people to squint and they'd close their eyes like this. And I was like, that's not it at all. And then this Tyra Banks thing with smizing came up and everybody started talking.
What is that?
I don't know. Smile with your eyes, she says. And it became the
smile with your what?
With your eyes. I never understood it.
Remember Tyra Banks?
I never understood it, but she said it, and then the world got to know it and everything. So then I came up with, my daughter actually said to me the word squinch, and I was like, well, I like that. I like that word. So I did a video, and it went viral. And then the next thing I know, I was on Good Morning America. They came into the studio, and I was on Nightline. I had all this stuff start happening. And squinching is narrowing the distance between your lower pupil and your eyelid. And that conveys confidence. It also makes the person look like they're in a thought process. So I make everybody do it.
Show me a squinch.
It's like, when people are uncertain, we open our eyes. You know, deer in the headlights, they just go like this. Yeah. Like, if you talk to somebody like this, if you ever notice, this is what I tell people. So I read people because it's my job to see how their behavior is from the moment I set eyes on them if I know I'm going to photograph them, to when they get in front of the camera and everywhere in between to see how their behavior is, so that I can either revert them back to that behavior when they get in front of the camera, because the camera is going to strip that away. And anytime somebody's in front of the camera, their thought process goes inward, because they think we don't know what our face looks like, but the brain, this is the number one thing I've learned being a photographer. I get excited about this stuff. The brain will try to tell you what your face looks like, but it doesn't know. Like, we have no clue what our face looks like right now. I hope we're okay. I didn't look in the mirror before I got in here. Am I all right?
No, you look good.
I don't see anything. I don't know what it looks like. But the thing is when the person's in front of the camera, that's what they do. They're thinking. So they think, okay, I got to do this. And then they're uncertain. So their eyes widen. So people get natural response to cameras is this: apprehension, right?
Really?
They pull back. So I basically try and do a number of things. The one thing that I discovered that was the real emphasis on my work was that and you've been in front of my camera, I say things that sound like they mean something, but they don't mean anything, or something that makes them think.
You have the ability to you could say things that then allow the person to give you the expression that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Which is what I've noticed, because a couple times you said things to me and I had no clue what you were even talking about. And then I didn't know where you were like, come back here. And I went back and looked and I was like, that's what you wanted? You're like, yes. I'm like, how'd you do? I don't even know what that meant, but you just say things sometimes and you could just get people to react that way, which I think is where a lot of your magic is.
You know, I pride myself on this stuff, because it's like the most people's like experience in front of a camera is not good. Like, they normally are like, I'm like, did you ever have your headshot taken? Yeah. And I didn't love that experience. They don't know what it's going to be like. With me, they're like, what the hell just happened? Like, what did just happen?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Because I am so rapid fire with I'm in control. So people don't know it. I don't say this to them. I don't tell people anything about what's going on internally with me. But internally with me, every box is being checked with them. What side of their face? What's their jawline doing? What's their demeanor in there? How's their body language? Body comes first too. So I see the body first. And if the body's awkward, I can instantly tell that, okay, I'm going to have my work cut out for me, and they may be spatially challenged in terms of my movement of them. I'm very precise on movement and everything like that. And then for me, since the frame's so tight, I go into the face, and that's where this happens. So I'm working to get something out of them. And then you've got a human. So now I'm like, I want the individual to come out, and I want it on their best angle, and I want it to be intriguing for the onlooker. So there's no way that somebody can really do that on their own. Even me modeling for years, like I'm very good in front of cameras. And I actually got a stylist that was like, hey, I want to do a shoot. And this was I haven't modeled since, like, my last job was like 2003. He's like, I got a bunch of clothes. Can I come to your studio? We could use your studio, right? I want you to be the model. I was like, what? Really? Me? He's like, yeah, you still got it. Come on. I was like, all right, why not? I was like, let's do it. So he gets a photographer. I wouldn't want to be that photographer walking into my studio to shoot me. I wouldn't want to do that. You know, I mean, but this guy was cool, but there wasn't any direction out of him. He didn't say anything to me. Nothing.
Which is tough too, because then you start trying to play with expressions, and I at least, you know, if my chin's a little too high, or if you're turning your shoulders and suddenly you're like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone and looked at pictures and you're like, that looks like shit. Probably 90% of them, right? It's just like, so whether you have confidence or not, there are times with angles where you're not going to know or feel, or it's just not going to appear the way that you're thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And I with this guy though, since he didn't say anything, I just took it on myself to do it. So I just started doing the modeling, and the stylist was like, oh my gosh, you should teach a master class in that. But that was just 8 years of doing it, and then having a big hiatus and just being like, I'm just going to have fun today. If people, it's like a moment in a shoot where a switch goes off and somebody, they stop caring. Do you know how much more attractive people get when they operate from their subconscious? It's unbelievable. So we have subconsciously driven expressions all day long. Nobody walks down the street and goes, oh, I have to pull the corners of my mouth to my earlobes right now to look more approachable to that person coming on. No, your mouth just smiles. You see somebody, there's a smile, generally, hopefully. Otherwise, we don't think in terms of that. You get in front of a camera and it turns off that mechanism.
Yeah.
So I just try and turn the mechanism back on. And that creates the confidence. And then confidence is also contagious in that environment. So since I'm so confident doing what I do because I work so hard at it and do it every day, they treat me like an expert. And then hopefully they got the memo that I'm really good. Sometimes they don't. But and then I go into it and I'm just trying to elevate them so that when they walk out, they go, I can't believe that experience was like that. And then they move and I'm like, okay, so now you did it for me. You got your jawline out. That's the other big one. That's the way to make people look their most attractive selves, get the jawline out. I was like, you got your squinching going on and you got your hint of a smile. I always say that. So there's three things. I call it confidence coupled with approachability. Hint of a squinch, you get that little squinch going. You do a tiny closed mouth smile because like the minute like somebody asks, if a photographer ever asked you to smile, I call it a half-assed smile. It's this. It's just terrible. Just like terrible. I don't like it. I want to make people laugh. So then I'm like, either the smile is closed mouth, tiny smile, or it's genuine laughter. And I created, it's important to me to create laughter on the set. We do it. We laugh. We laugh when we're working out all the time. On the set, I want the laughter. It's like, it creates that, I actually get the best serious shots after the people are cracking up. I
think I actually get the most. I mean, training there's always this misconception that people need to like scream and yell and it's just, I've seen so many different tactics and so many people go into it where they're like pumping each other up or they rile each other up too much. It's like drinking too much caffeine. At a certain point, I feel like it works against you. Yeah. And I know even me, like I could be, get under a weight or really hard session or whatever it is. I still gotta be me. I can't turn around and try to become this like serious asshole, throughout all training. It's not who I am. I'm not playing to my strengths. Yeah. So I gotta kind of be a little,
You're always joking around with us.
Yeah, always, yeah. So I gotta kind of be joking around, but then when you see me get into something, like I'm getting real with it. But
when the weight's being lifted, it's game on.
It's a different I would always say you would be able to have someone naked walking back in front of me while I'm training. I'm not even going to see them. Yeah. It's like I'm so locked in. But between sets and like what you do is, you're getting people ready to take pictures. You're prepping them to have a picture taken of themselves. What you're really doing is you're really helping them carry themselves in a certain way, right? Because as they do this more and more and more, they're going to develop more and more confidence. And then what happens? This is something that I think with a negotiation or a meeting or a client, these things are so important and they're not practical. Some people, I'll admit, some people completely get it and I think they're born with it. They just have the ability to do these certain things. But I think most aren't. And most of these things have to be practiced.
Yeah. I think the interpersonal relationships that when you're conveying confidence, it changes your game completely on whatever level. And I think that people need to understand that their representation of themselves physically is something that a lot of people don't think about. Their relationship with their appearance. I talked about that a lot. Everybody has a distinct relationship with their appearance, and that some people it's not great, and then, that's why
most it's probably not great.
Well, most, you're right. Sad. If I had said to somebody, and I'm starting to work on some self-image stuff right now, that if I had said, I want you to write, draw a line down a sheet of paper, write 10 attributes about yourself that you love physically and 10 things that you don't like. And I guarantee that it's easier to put the don't like this, don't like that than it is to think of 10 that you do like. And that's so I have, when people get in front of my camera, it's like taking the Band-Aid off on that. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Now he's got to record this thing that I'm not thrilled with because I'm comparing myself to whatever that comparison is out there in the world. And you really can't because you didn't have the same parents as that human being.
Sure.
You weren't born like that. You're not at that age. You're not at that. And that's what society's done to us. So my thing is I want people to be comfortable in their own skin, and I want them to get out from in front of my camera and feel better about their appearance from having been there. That's like my purpose. So that's what I drive that through the whole headshot crew. So in my coaching, I have 20,000 photographers globally that have trained under me, and I get them. I'm like, you guys have to exponentially help me spread this, because the spread we see it in all the media and everything, that we're always comparing ourselves to the next most beautiful person that you see. And then you've got this aging thing going on, and you've got the physique, and you've got whether it's your face or your body or whatever. I think if you have a negative perception of that going through life, it's so unnecessary.
Self-comparison is something that I think we've seen even grow more and more now, that because people have so much access to all these different social media platforms, right? But you're, in a way, stripping people of this negative outlook that they might have on themselves. You're turning around and you're taking someone who might be a really powerful business person and great in their own spot, but then you put them in front of a camera and out of nowhere, they feel like a 14-year-old kid who's just insecure.
That's exactly what I do. And that's exactly what I coach my people on, because I'm like, that skill set of being the CEO and running the big highfalutin company that's like, jamming is not that all of a sudden that person gets in front of a camera. It's not the same skill set. And the camera's so powerful. It takes away people's energy. So it's a powerful thing to have between me and my subject. And I have to figure out how to use it to my advantage, to get them around it and get them to forget about it and get them to behave the way they are. That's why I'm trying to always bring out, the personality. It started with the actors, though, because the reason why my training ground was so good is because the actor's headshot was the door opener. Without it, they weren't going to get to the audition, which was just, so there was so much pressure on them. So they would come in and their agent would say, well, you have to get them to do this, 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 and this. And they couldn't, the difference between acting and taking a still photograph is so enormous. Like, as an actor, you have a character to play. You're not yourself. You can experiment and everything. So all of a sudden, in a still camera, you have a script to do. You have a monologue or whatever. You have anything. And in front of a still camera, there's nothing. We're just standing there, like, point the camera at them, and I'd be like, all right, we got to do something now.
Right. Sometimes I feel like sometimes it's easier for the actor when they're in character, because they're so in tune with becoming that person. And I've also found that, I don't know what your opinion is, sometimes, not all, but again, some of the actors come out of character and they're so used to being in different characters all the time, they struggle to find who it is they really are. Do you find that sometimes when you have someone come in on the other end, that they're trying to come in with too much confidence, or they're trying to kind of deliver something to you that it just isn't really who they are?
It's sometimes people need to own the room or feel like they need to own the room. So you got to kind of let them have that. Most of the time it's not the actors. It's like the publicist or the handler that I have to deal with. Then I'm like, the person I'm shooting is usually fine. The other person is like leave me alone.
They're always a pain in the ass.
Let me just get my job done.
Stop doing too much of your job and stop overthinking things, please.
You're relevant. You can just be quiet and sit there, and I'll let you, have your space. But it's like, let me do my job. I mean, I think we all have a different job to do, but I think actors also know that, and influencers and whoever I'm shooting for, whatever they're putting out there, they need the images. It's essential that we put ourselves out there in this day and age. And that's why I'm like people shouldn't be hiding behind like we're recording history by taking images in the day that we did. Like, I remember the day I shot Amelia and you, and I love that coming across your feed and seeing you use them, and I'm like, yes, we got them. Like, I love that. That's what they're there for. Exciting. We're supposed to be using these pictures.
Now I'm going to
we have more to do.
I'm going to put you on the spot before we take a few questions.
Okay.
Are there a few points, and you may not be able to do this because you may need to see them in front of the camera, but you're taking someone who's listening to this right now who maybe lacks in confidence.
Yeah.
Are there a few things that you're going to tell them to think about, whether it's in front of a camera or whether it's going into that meeting or whether it's going on that date, that they're just nervous about, or they're going into the gym and they're just, I am nervous to be here. People are watching me.
Yeah.
All these things are intertwined, I think.
Well, first things first, people are not watching you because they're more concerned with themselves. So, everybody says that, but as an individual, you don't think about that, but it is true.
It is true.
It's so true. Like, look, nobody cares about the way you lift the weight. Like you might, but you're not. You're at the gym working with somebody else. If you're not even at that gym anymore, but the train, you're in the barn.
I get it.
But yeah, I think there's a couple things that I want people to walk in. I want them to be comfortable in their own skin and walk in shoes that they're proud of. And I think that those feelings and knowing how to, put your best self out there is a side door to character. It's part of your character, knowing how you look to people. Like our image that we put out there is what people are looking for. If you're walking down the street and somebody sees you, they see you because of the way you look. So figuring out things that make you feel the best. Number one is, number one's probably is what you do is you get people in shape. If you feel like your body's in shape and you feel good about your body, that's going to come to a spring in your step. It's going to come into it's a daily thing. And you just feel like, I think you see it. I think the really successful people that are on it, they take time away for being in the gym. I decided a long time ago, I was overworking myself and I was trying to get this going and I was like going crazy for years and I let my body go a little bit and I couldn't lift my boat over my head. My shoulders were like you changed. Like when I started working with you, it changed. Like I can't believe like now I'm like putting my boat over my head like it's nothing. I put my mast up like it's a stick. Like it's like I could do it with one hand now. And I used to not be able to even do it. I used to be like, am I not going to be able to sail anymore? I'm so out of shape. And that was because I wasn't taking priority for my body. And now I take the mornings and I'm like, I'm not booking anybody in the morning. I'm going to go get my workouts in. So body first, confidence is going to come from feeling like you're taking care of your body, first of all. Mm-hmm. Then you've got God-given stuff that you were born with, which is the way your appearance, right? If you take care of yourself and then you look at your appearance, I always tell people when I first see somebody, I'm looking for a couple different things. One is I think everybody's got beauty in them. It's my job to find it, number one. Two is there's an angle of your face that's probably the most attractive side of your face. And people talk about this. There's been studies done. These guys came out with this study and they said like 80% of people look better on their left side. And there's also this thing about symmetry that people that are more symmetrical look more attractive. And I think that's all ridiculous. I think it's just based on the eye is in the beholder. Mm-hmm. What's the saying?
Eye of the beholder? I think.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Anyway, like I look at them as an artist. Like you can't walk down the street past me without me scanning your face. Like I'm terrible in a subway. I try not to get caught. I'm just so into the human face. For me, it's so unique. I have identical twins. And they look totally different than me. So for me, it's like I'm a kid in a candy store when I get different ethnicities, different facial structures. I had to contend with that thing on the front of your face when I was shooting you. I was like,
you talking about my nose now? Yeah. I was waiting for it. I love it. Hey man, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
But it makes you. Like if you fixed it so it was straight or did anything, it doesn't make you.
I do think it's getting worse.
It doesn't. It's great though. It's great. I want people to embrace that kind of stuff. Yep. So I joked about it with you when I was shooting you, but it's part of you and it's cool and I like it. It's awesome. But it's that kind of thing. Like you have to embrace your I call them perceived flaws. We're human. Like there is no flaw. You're lucky to even be walking around the planet Earth looking the way you do. So I want them to. You can find an angle. You can look in a mirror. You should actually look at pictures of yourself because people see pictures of themselves. So people have a mirror image of themselves because we look. If you're somewhat normal, you look in the mirror more times than you look at pictures of yourself. So when you look at pictures of yourself, you're like, sometimes that doesn't look like me. I have people tell me all the time, that doesn't look like me, and I just turn to them. I go, there wasn't anybody else in there.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But that's because we're usually looking at ourselves in a mirror, which flips us. I have this mirror in my studio that flips you back. You looked in it. Didn't I have you look in the mirror, the box?
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to really look at what you look like. So people have to understand, people aren't seeing what you see. You're your worst critic, for sure, about, you say things to yourself that nobody would ever say. I always had this movie idea because I do it. I walk down the street and people walk by me and I think about them if they were in my studio and like, wow. And I always am intrigued by, and we're in New York, so you see every ethnicity, you see everything. It's so cool. And I walk to the studio and sometimes the light's different in the different times of year and stuff. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, just by walking by people. And I find it so intriguing, but I was thinking about this movie idea. What if, like, there's no way that anybody would if you could like show somebody's thought as they made eye contact with somebody as to what they actually thought about that person's appearance, it would never be what people think that people are saying about them. It would be so much better. People would be like, oh, that person's this good, looks great or whatever. Like, nobody's going to be negative about your face, so basically we're concerned about things that aren't happening with ourselves.
And we're pointing out things that other people aren't seeing.
Exactly.
It's funny. I was in my gym in New York City. There was this base molding that since like day one, it got damaged in like 2005, and I lived with it for 15 years. And I just, every time I kind of walk by it I would always kind of look down to it. I always kind of see it, and I'd kind of turn away. Yeah. And I brought it up to some friends, and they were just like, dude, we've been coming here for 10 years. We never noticed it. And they just never noticed it, but it was something that was driving. So that's just, I think that's the perfect example of how people just will get on something and they'll nitpick it, not realizing that sometimes what you think is your flaw might be one of your greatest characteristics.
I had this awesome story around that. I had this woman that came in and she had this amazing look, but she had a very angular jawline, really angular. And she was acting. And I couldn't figure out the side of her face because it was all gorgeous. I was like, every side, but she had these lines that somehow went from her cheeks to her mouth that cut up her face even more. So it was very, I just loved every angle of it. And I was like, these lines on your face cut up your face so much that it's a cute little thing that gives you this angularity that I don't get to see very much. And I love it. Wow, that's amazing. You know, directors are going to love that with you. I looked at her, I said this. She got emotional. She goes, that's the very thing I hadn't even liked about myself forever. I said, that's the very thing I love about yourself, photographing you as what I'm seeing through there. And it's that kind of thing. So we're picking up on things that we never see. I always had this thing about me that people are like, you're crazy, like that I didn't like about myself. I always felt like my head was too long from here to here. I thought my face should be smushed. I have these. Noticed that? Well, I know. I'm over it. But when I look at pictures, I have pictures where my face looks long and where it looks smushed. Yeah. That's why when we got in here, I asked which side we're sitting on. You'd see, Barbara Streisand was on Ellen, and she switched seats with Ellen because Barbara had to be over there. So this is actually I like this a little bit better. I could tell you from your pictures, but I can't.
I honestly, like, you've asked me a couple of times what side I'm like, I don't know. I don't really.
This is what I was getting at because I want them to figure out their side. So 60% of people, in terms of my numbers, are better looking on their left side, just a little bit.
That would be me.
Yeah, you're good over there. But I think you may be ambifacial. So that means I feel like I'm ambifacial. I feel like I can be shot on every side, but I like the left a little bit more. Anyway, so you can figure that out by looking at pictures of yourself. There's also a hair part theory that which side you part your hair. So your hair kind of goes like that. So it could be left, or do you mess it up?
It's like
and if a guy's lacking follicular horsepower, then it has to be where he used to part it.
My nose, I do know that my nose goes this way.
Yeah, I know too.
So there's I have this.
Well,
I
photographed you enough.
Well, I have this break here.
Yeah,
and
it's all the character right there.
It is what it is, man.
It's good. I photograph it. I like it. You wouldn't be the same without it. You wouldn't be the same without it. Okay.
All right. So we're going to take a couple questions. I want to thank you for coming on. This means a lot to me, and I think we're going to get a lot.
I'm glad you asked.
No, it's fantastic. I'm honored. So I think Chris is Chris there?
I am here, Don. We are going to first talk with Taylor in Houston.
Hey, Taylor. I'm Don Saladino. This is my buddy Peter Hurley.
Nice to meet you guys. I appreciate you letting me come on and throw a softball at you, hopefully.
I love it. I love it. Well, fire away.
Yeah, so I'm a real estate agent and investor in Texas. I've been working on my social media game as much as I can. And I just want to know for y'all, when it comes to self-confidence, especially being in front of a camera, Where does yours personally stem from? And do you think it's something that can be taught or comes naturally?
Well, you can definitely be taught. I really didn't have any confidence in front of cameras when I started. I didn't even know that this modeling thing would ever take off. I don't know how you got down the path, but it's definitely learned and taught, and there's some techniques that you can do. First of all, the number one thing that you can do is really find a good photographer. Yeah. So if you, I coach through the Headshot Crew. Headshotcrew.com is my coaching platform. And we have a Find a Photographer link, and I've got photographers globally on there. And they all have been coached by me to teach that first. So getting in front of the camera, getting some experience. I mean, you're as a realtor, your picture is on everything that you do. It's on your card. You're handing it out. Everything that you do is your image. It's a big deal. We do a lot of realtors for headshots, obviously. And I think the main thing is you want a high quality image of yourself that conveys that confidence with that approachability. You have to make sure that either a buyer or a seller is looking at you, and you look confident, like you can handle this, working with them to get the best deal for them or whatever it is. If they're going to work with you, you want to be as inviting in your picture as possible. So sure. I can't stand realtors that put like serious pictures on their, like where they look dead serious. I was like, why?
Yeah, I don't want to buy. I know, and I totally agree with you. I would never want to buy from someone who's coming on there that looks cocky or I'd want to see someone who, if they're friendly and they're inviting, like that's like, I look at the attributes that I'm most interested in people, and I like people that are just kind, so if you're a kind person. And, I typically, a lot of my friends, I find are very interesting people. Like they're all in professions, right? That they've had to work really hard to get there. It hasn't come easy. They've gotten kicked in the head, or they've gotten repositioned in different ways. They've struggled at a certain point. So I think a lot of my friends have a level of humility. So I know the people that I'm more drawn to is I'd rather give business to someone who's really nice and warm and inviting, and that I know is genuine. And I think so portray that. If that's who you are, and you seem like a really nice person. I mean, we don't know you, but just from how you connected and the things you said to us initially.
And Taylor, you got the dimples going. Make sure those are in your picture.
Strengths, brother. Come on, man.
I gotta appreciate my mom for that one.
Yeah, man. So good stuff. But that's what I mean right there. Like nice smile, nice delivery. Show that. And I think in showing that sometimes I couldn't agree with him more. If I'm going to have someone take some iPhone pictures of me to put it up, it's like, all right, man, I'm getting what I pay for. Like I'm probably not going to be happy. Now, if I need some good headshots that are going to help drive my business and I'm going to be able to send to brands, I'm going to Peter Hurley. Right. And if I need him immediately and he's not around, then he's referring me to someone, which never happened because I'll always wait for him. But I'm just saying, take his advice on that. I think put a couple extra, what's that?
I'm not going to let you go anywhere
else. He's not letting me go to anyone else. Exactly. He said it under his breath. But find someone and go in maybe every 6 months, every year, refresh them, put them up. In reference to social media, I heard you bring up social media. Show your personality. All the business a lot of the business I'm getting on social media, it's not, ironically, like I put some covers of me up on magazines. Like that's not people. Every person said the same thing. And you know what they said? We like your values and that you're a family guy. And I was like, shit. Like they're not even so concerned with my ability to be a good coach or the shape I was in or I'm in or whatever it is. They wanted to know that I know what I'm talking about, but I have good values. And that's where it's just a reminder that you are not faking the general public. I don't want that, no offense, I shouldn't be saying, but like, I don't want that poor salesman that's going to come in and hard sell me. I want someone who's going to come in and say, Don, you know what? We're going to find you that home and it might take us some time, but I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to work really hard for you. And I'm going to be like, damn, man, you got my business. Like, I know that's what I'm looking for, but that's what most people out there are really looking for. So portray that in your story that you're telling. When you're on social media, I am, we become storytellers. He's a photographer, but he takes pictures of people and he teaches people how to get behind the lens. I've always been a coach, but I'm working with brands now and I'm consulting with business. But no matter what, portray that image that you are proud of and tell that story.
Right. Yeah. I think it falls down to relatability more than anything. If, your clients are a reflection of yourself, so they're going to want to be around someone that's relatable and going through one of the biggest transactions. So no, I hear you. And I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll continue to work on that. So
now I know. Now I'm kind of. I feel like we're like vested in him now. Now I want to know.
I want to see the pictures.
I want to see the pictures.
So
man.
we got. First of all, you got to go out and you got to make sure. Look at your wardrobe. Clothing's a big deal in this too. Mm-hmm. You got to feel comfortable and you got to feel confident in what you're wearing. I always tell people, look, if your wardrobe doesn't show it, you got to go out, buy stuff, leave the tags on it. You can return it if you need to. Well, that's like the trick for actors. We do that all the time.
Hide the tags.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Yeah. But the other thing is you didn't want to audition in your favorite shirt that you got your headshot in, because then but what you're wearing is gonna be something that clothing makes people feel good about themselves. So make sure you're wearing something that's great. I would practice soft smiles in the mirror just to make sure that you're doing the approachability thing. It's funny when I said before, I said, I don't know if you got to hear this, Taylor, but your brain will try to tell you what your face looks like, but it doesn't know when you're in front of a camera. So your smile will actually feel bigger than it actually is. Yeah. So you're not really conveying approachability unless you really know. You've got to do some research by playing in the mirror with that, because when you're just staring in front of a camera, if you don't get any feedback from the photographer, you won't really know how much approachability you're conveying. And if you don't have that in your shot as a realtor, forget it. Right. I think you really need to show that off, especially Mr. Nice Guy.
But now that we're vested, we want to see the finished product. So send it to us, man. When you
oh yeah, I will.
No, when you have it done, just follow on Instagram. If you DM us, him and I won't forget you.
Yeah, for sure. No, will do. I appreciate you guys.
All right, see you, Taylor.
Good stuff. Thank you for doing this today.
My pleasure.
For your long commute. I know it was a hike over here, but no, we're going to have to do this again. I think these are one of those topics that I think people need to hear, and I don't think it's really discussed enough. It's like, it's some of the stuff has to be practiced. Like you were just talking about being on camera or getting on stage, and I feel like if you're nervous, you got a decision to make. Are you going to crawl up in a hole, or do you want to get better? And I think this is, again, like, do you have those competitive juices in you where you want to challenge yourself and get yourself into a better place?
Yeah.
I want to thank the Post, by the way. They've been so generous with this place.
This place is cool.
It's
right
cool,
near
right?
me. Yeah.
So thanks to them, and let's do this again. We'll all see you at the bar soon.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
The views, information, or opinions expressed in the series are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Chip and Joanna Gaines, Binel Audio, nor Magnolia.